we start with a tour.
A tour of what?
Of how to create an R&D project. I would like to edit it after creating it. I couldn't. And also on the right, there are some menus I would like to that Bob explain a little bit more.
Okay.
Okay, just a second. Let me see if I can if we're running into these. Okay, Francois, what was it that you were trying to do?
So I created a new R&D project.
So wait a second. Let me announce.
Yeah, I see it. R&D project 3.
Yes.
Bob, okay. I would like to, for people that will look at the video later, I would like to present a little bit what we're doing, just to structure the meeting a little bit. So we're going to do a demo of this new tool that Bob created, which is Lab Notes. We're going to do a tour of the R&D project, right? How to create an R&D project and how to use the Lab Note. And I think I got an email from you, Bob, saying that you did some work on suppliers.
I wrote some notes, some design notes about purchasing from suppliers, but I haven't done any work on it yet. Now, something went wrong with this R&D project, and I am not sure exactly what. Francois ran into a bug, and so
can we just
and the problem is in this process, and I think I understand what it is. Let me see.
On that, so I'm gonna open the.
I'm looking here. Forgive me. Oh, you're gonna create a new one. Okay. I'll just watch you then.
Okay. So we create a new one.
Okay.
And provider are Tectus. So,
so you're creating an R&D project, right?
Yeah. Okay. So maybe gluing transducers while playing with the.
Okay.
So this is a way to create an R&D project which helps you to document your work and to log your output.
Yes. Yes.
So the project would be, it's a sort of joint type transducer, let's say. We start today and we end in 2 weeks.
Okay.
So assemble transducers without shrinking tube.
Why did you put Tactus twice? Receiver and provider. Because it's an internal.
Yeah, I can change if you want.
Well, I guess yeah.
It doesn't matter. But you can change that, or you can just leave them out too. You know, they're not required. I don't think anyway. If they are required, I'll make them unrequired. But you know, that's good enough for now. Now, what I want you to do though is I want you to have an output resource type.
Yes.
Okay, so I think that might have been the problem before.
So here my output.
I think it would be a design, right? Would it be a design? R&D projects, they should have designs as outputs, right?
You can have design as an output, yes.
Okay.
And you can create
you can create a new resource type there too. Just click that green plus button.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is how you fork. Let's say, for example, you have already a project for transducers, and then you can fork that and create, you know, joint type transducers version 2, 3, 4, right?
Okay.
Which will be designs for joint type transducers. This is actually a new way of making them, so it would be a new manufacturing process, right?
Can be manufacturing process, design process, anything, you know. Anything you want to do.
Okay. So here I created joint type 2.
Okay. Now then, what? Yeah, is this? Look at the event type. Is this going to be This is going to be a resource production, probably.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
So here.
And then how many of them are you going to make per execution? Or how? Yeah, produces is fine.
Reducing.
And then how many of them are you going to make?
3. Well, I think it's okay. So
just 1, 3. Okay.
You're gonna make 3 to test, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
They are prototypes.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Yep. And then what are you going to use as inputs?
So I use equipment. I need the microscope. It's in time, I guess, time contribution.
No, it's not. The time contribution is like work. This would be just resource consumption.
So okay.
And you're going to probably use it. It's probably the relationship.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think we need to put more data into the system for these resource types or equipment, more equipment in the system, you know, more equipment and tools. Can you choose more than one, Bob?
Yes, you can just keep adding more inputs.
How do you do that?
Right there, another input.
You have the list.
Okay.
But you see here, I choose the microscope, and so I have to choose. So I can't here choose time contribution.
Yeah, it's a time contribution is like work.
So why the system allows me to choose time?
It's a resource consumption is what it is. You might want to have another event type for equipment use, but right now time contribution is for work.
Okay.
That's when people are making time contributions. The equipment would be, you know, we may want another event type for resource use, but for now use resource consumption.
So here maybe it's not an urgent, but it's good if when I choose equipment microscope, for example, I can't select time contribution.
For the equipment or for you?
For the equipment.
It's
because you can add another input.
You could set time contribution, but then it's going to show up with all the other time contributions, which are all going to be work, you know. And so it's either we can set up another event type for equipment use, but for now, if you just use resource consumption, it will go with all the other use of resources.
No, but what I mean is that it doesn't make sense if I choose equipment to choose an event type time contribution. Is it correct?
It does not make sense, no.
Okay, so
it's just sort of like the way we set things up. I can understand why you might think of it that way. You will be using time from the resource. You know that your unit will be hours.
Yeah.
So we may want to have another event type. Maybe we need to create another event type. You guys can create event types. You know, I can create another event type for equipment use.
But I'm happy with resource consumption. What I mean is that the system should prevent me to select time contribution in the menu when the resource type is an equipment.
It should. Yes. And I will take a note to that effect.
Okay, but I should that like this. I don't know if it's difficult or not to do. Huh?
Yeah.
So it uses hours, 3 hours, let's say, and I choose a second resource type. And
Bob, I'm just going to take some notes here with the issues.
Yeah, me too.
And so where is the time contribution? Do I have to specify it somewhere in this form?
If you want to have a time contribution, then select the resource type of a type of work.
Okay, a type of work here.
Usually they're marked work.
Okay, work, excellent.
Work R&D.
So R&D. And here I can select time contribution. Well, I can select damage or any of the 4, but it makes sense here to follow with time contribution.
Yes, time contribution is what goes with work.
Yeah. So it's good if we have a sort of funnel that forces people to choose this.
Yep.
To take the good option.
Yep, you are correct. I have taken a note.
Excellent. So time contribution here, work, relationship is work.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think is this type of mismatch should creating a bug?
Beg pardon?
Do you think it's this type of mismatch between the resource type and the event type that made the system bug?
It's a missing feature. It works the way it is. You just have to know too much.
Okay.
You know. So I'm gonna have to figure out I'm gonna have to figure out that's doable.
Mm-hmm.
I've done it in some other situations.
Okay, and then I think I am ready, so I save.
Yep.
And if I realize I want to.
Okay, so now this one worked okay.
Yes. Right.
All right. Yeah. Okay.
So wait a second. Let's go through this. What do we have here now? So we have. Why is this order items? Why do we have to order the 3 join type 2? Maybe because they are like components. The system considers them as components.
I'm sorry. What's the question?
The first item there, it's order items.
That's a bug. I'll get it. That's a leftover from. It's a cut and paste error from orders.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Because he considers it as a component, right?
It's not a. Yeah, you're not doing order items. That's a leftover from. I'm using the same. I'm using this same template for orders. Okay, for processes that go on orders.
Okay.
You know. So I just need to get that out of there.
What are you trying to? Okay, let's go through it. So production schedule. I just want to see if these things come out properly. So, Francois, can you?
Yes, here.
Is it thinking?
So okay, you'll see the R&D work there, and you will see a bunch of possible sources. That means all of those people, when they look at their work page, they will see that as work, tasks using their skills.
Okay, the source is.
Yeah, any one of those people would see that then. And so you're signed up as Tactus, so if you look at the work page, you will see that.
So everyone that has done R&D...
You can find the work page is now linked from the top bar.
All right, yes.
Yeah. Okay, so now you should see that gluing transducers process there.
Oh, yes, I see it.
Where is it? Can you point to it?
Here.
Okay, so what happened here, we created an R&D project. And all the work that goes into it went into the work page, right?
Yep.
Okay. Work R&D, 3 hours.
Yep.
Right.
So all of those people will see that in their workstage. So okay, so here you can now
yeah, I can
change it.
You can edit it from there, right?
That's good. Yeah, impressive.
So you can take a task now, Francois. If Francois creates it, it doesn't take it automatically. He has to go to the work page and take it.
Doesn't mean Francois has to do the work. Francois created the R&D project. Any one of those people could do the work.
Okay, so yes.
In fact, anybody can sign up. You know, it'll show up on all those people's work pages, you know, as something within their skills, but it will also show up for other people in the other tasks, and you can still take them. That's something we may need to discuss over time. You know, how loose you want, how permissive you want to be about who takes what tasks.
Exactly. Yeah. So just for the record, we had these discussions in the past where we thought about restricting access to some type of work if the member is not fully trained or capable of doing some type of work. So, for example, somebody to work with optical fibers, that person needs to have the skills, or at least needs to go through a training process with another member, okay, to be able, okay, to take that task in the system, right? So
you may want to require that, you know, so that they get it, so that you can create an association with a person and a type of work even if they haven't done it before, you know, but it would mean like you would have to create that for them after they had done some training or whatever, you know, and we may want to have something in the system that says this will qualify, this is the process for getting qualified to do that type of work.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like it. I like the fact that even when you start an R&D project, just a simple experiments, a lot of people can see it. So maybe they can say, hey, I know that I did that in the past, and you should try this and this.
Yeah, okay, yes.
Yeah.
So what we did now, we created an R&D project, and this R&D project, according to the work that we put in, the time contribution that we put in, or the work type that we put in, goes into the work page, and then people can take it, and you can take it yourself too. So let's say now if you take it, now it opens a lab book, right?
If you take it, then that will say that you're going to take that, and then it will show up in your work in process.
Okay, can we do that experiment?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So now Francois takes it. So you commit to that task, right?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to translate it for the people that will watch the video later.
Yeah, and this is like now. This is when you're actually going to start it. All right, and that will change that will change that will change the start time of the process, because this is when you're actually going to start working on it, or when you say you're going to start working on it anyway.
So I say I start tomorrow, and
you can well just leave all, you can leave all that the same, and then just click the commit button, and then it'll show up in your with a lab notes button.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I commit.
Yeah. Okay. So now you got lab notes.
Lab notes for this task.
Okay. So wait a second. Let me just explain what just happened here. The section in the top left corner was empty before. So now when Francois took it, now we see what we see. We see Francois' view into the system, right, Bob? Okay. So for Francois now, in my work in progress, now he has the task that he just committed to.
Yeah. If you look at Tibi, if you look at your working process, you will not see this there. And it's now gone from unassigned tasks because it's not unassigned anymore. Francois took it.
Yeah.
Okay, so it doesn't appear on unassigned tasks. Okay, so it disappeared from unassigned tasks. It appeared in Francois' my work in progress, and now it automatically created a lab note.
It will when you click that button.
When you click that button, it will create the lab note.
Yeah.
Which is your tool now to document your work in progress.
Yes.
It takes notes about the process and everything else. Okay. And as soon as you see, so when is the time contribution going into the value accounting system? Is it when you take and commit to the task, or
from the lab note? No, your time contribution comes from the lab notes page.
Okay.
That's where you say how much time. So now you got your time spent so far.
Okay, so let's say you start the working on it today.
You can do start and stop, or you can just plug in the time. You could just enter the days, hours, and minutes that you worked on that.
Oh, you can just write it yourself, right?
Beg pardon?
You can just write the time yourself?
Oh yeah, whichever way you want to do it. Okay, you didn't get any minutes yet. You know, it didn't wait long enough. You just only got some few seconds. Okay. So at any rate, then that button below there says submit time contribution. Okay. There you submit it. Then you submitted your time contribution, and you can do that over. You can do that over and over again. It will just continue to add up. If you go back to these lab notes and keep working on it, it will just add more time for that particular contribution.
Okay, so Francois, can you just type some text in there and write 1 hour and. So Bob, what if now the time you're working on the R&D project exceeds the time that you put in the beginning? There is a start date and a due date. Yep. What happens when the time you go back, day by day, you go back to the lab note and continue working on this project, and then the time exceeds the time limit that you put when you created the R&D project? What happens?
Well, when you submit a time contribution, that means this process has started, and it will mark that, and you can then, when you go back to your working process, you will see that has been started. You might not be finished yet, so you might want to add more time. Yeah, you want to put some time in there. Okay, and then okay, so now you can submit your time contribution. Okay, so now it says started.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
So now if you go back and click on lab notes again, you can continue to work on that. Okay?
This is really
now,
cool.
if you look down there, you can also see that you have a planned output.
Yes.
Okay. So you can say how many you made. You can also say you can also log that some of them failed.
Mm-hmm. So if I press the fail button, what happens?
It says how many failed and why they failed.
Okay.
Now we're talking about making objects, but the
Now we're talking about the deliverables, the outputs of this process, the outputs of this work. So now you can associate the outputs with the time contribution. So if you want to evaluate time contributions by their results, not just the time they spent, then now you can do that because this contribution will be associated with those outputs. So you created one that was good and two that were bad.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now you can evaluate that work then, right?
Yes.
I have a question.
You could say, well, okay, well. No, I mean, it's hard to tell sometimes. Like, why were they bad? Was it the work? Was it the equipment? Was it the materials? What was it? Could be a lot of different things, but at least you have a record of it, and you can associate them.
I have a comment here, Bob. What is the data type of the output of a project?
It is a resource. It is it goes into inventory.
What if the R&D project doesn't have an output, an object which could be represented by, or by a number, 1 or 2 or 3 of them? What if the R&D project is to improve a process, and now you can't represent that by a number? Okay, it's pass or fail, or is a certain improvement of what was there before?
That's a good question. I think that's what happened with that one where there's a bug in the process that it might not have had an output, and I'm going to chase that down because it should not need an output,
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you got to consider that there's a reason that I called that one resource type a documented idea, because in that time the resource will be the document describing the idea. Yeah. So it's like when you do some work, you may not think that there may not be an output in terms of a product, and in fact there may not be a tangible output of any type, but there might be like a document that describes the results of that experiment, and that would itself be a valuable output, right?
So I guess we should think about what types of deliverables of R&D projects we have. So we can have a prototype, and this is the case of Jonathan. When he's doing R&D on electronics, the deliverable is usually an electronic board. Okay, so it's a prototype. When Francois works on to improve the optical fiber coating process, the deliverable would be an improved process. Or it can fail too, but that's the goal, to have an improved quality of the surface, during the optical fiber coating. So so we should think about different types of R&D deliverables maybe, and have them in there.
That's a good question. And this is an example of why I am sure that this R&D stuff is just a beginning, and it's going to need a lot of changes.
Mm-hmm.
Like anything else.
So, and these are the kinds of changes. Like, okay, now what kind of outputs what do we want to do? Do we want to require that there is some sort of output? Or do we care? Because I'm going to make it so that the system itself does not is not going to crash and burn if you don't have an output. Okay, unless you want to require at least one output.
Yeah, I think it's good to associate a goal to any output R&D project, so that other people say, why is this guy doing that? You know, like, you know that somebody's in the lab. We're going to have a bigger lab, so we're going to have tens of people working inside on R&D projects. So I might want to know, what is this guy doing and why is it important? What's the goal? And then Francois comes and he's market oriented, and if he has some product in mind, because he's looking at the market, he comes from the market, and then he can search the system and say, oh yeah, there's this guy doing R&D on that, and his goal is to improve this process, and then he can potentially, you know, put R&D projects together and orient them towards a common goal, which is, okay guys, now let's all work together to make this particular product. You see what I'm saying? So I think it's good to have a visibility into the intentions or the goals of R&D projects.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So for now, then I will require at least one output, and then we'll see how that goes. Okay.
Wait. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, but you can let the other outputs, but
you can have many outputs.
Yes.
From an R&D process. This is not so at this moment for manufacturing processes, but it is for R&D.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, we will make it so you can have many outputs from a manufacturing process too. But that there's a problem with recipes in that respect right now.
And you see here, if I want to erase the quantity, I put 0. For the resource type, I put 0 and I save. And when I go back to edit it, it's again 3.
Bug. Changes in the output there are not going to work well.
So what is the?
It's a bug. I got it noted.
Yeah. So maybe it's good just here to have as an output only.
Beg pardon?
Sorry. Maybe it's good to have as outputs only prototypes or
something.
Or idea documents.
Yeah, that's It's like sometimes that will be the output is a document, you know, saying, okay, here's what we learned from this experiment, and then that output that document can be the input to other design processes or something like that. That can get hooked into other work.
Yes, right.
You say, okay, here's this valuable research that we did, and so we're going to use it to refine the design of the joint type transducer. So then that gets hooked into the joint type transducer design process.
Yeah, it's very good. I like it.
And basically, if the way that you tie these things together is you make the output of one be an input to the one you want to tie it into, and that's basically how you cite other work.
Okay.
Exactly.
How you link to processes.
Yeah. Link.
That is, so wait a second, because I'm getting confused here. So when you talk about R&D outputs, they could be prototypes, they could be designs, they could be new ideas, they could be an improvement of a process. Are these resource types? Are we going to use the same category as resource types so we can already create them, or that requires you to create a different category before you can put that into the system?
Just a second, I'm taking a note on that.
Because if you say they
that's a good question. It could very well be a standard resource type for those, and then the resource itself, because if let's say you had a resource type of just documented idea as a resource type. And so then you could have many different documented ideas. Each of them would be an individual resource. In other words, resources belong to resource types, among other things. You know, in other words, each resource will have a link to a resource type. So it would be possible to, you know, it's like a different way. It's yet another way that things get categorized. And there are different rules for different resource types, you know, but it would be possible to have, let's say, a documented idea or a research finding, research report or something like that as a resource type, and then you could just keep cranking out different resources that would have their own URL and details.
Yeah, because I think some of them already qualify for resource types. For example, the design, we use it as a resource type, and I saw you put ideas into resource types as well. So
you could also go the other way, though. You could also say, okay, every one of these wants to be its own resource type. You know, we have this very specialized kind of thing. You know, here we got a design idea, here we got a research report, here we got a, you know, you could have a bunch of different things of that general category. So this gets back to what are the kinds of R&D deliverables. But anyway, you can have a bunch of different instances of any resource type, and they're all different. They're all individual items.
Yeah, I would consider a report of an R&D project not as a deliverable, but as a container to describe the deliverable. You see what I'm saying? Because it's something very generic. Like the end goal of an R&D project cannot be to make a document describing something. You know, that is a container that contains the deliverable, which is
a vehicle,
which is a new recipe, which is, you know, which is.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Which is,
okay.
It describes a new process, but it's a vehicle. It's a medium. It's a container. You see, more than a deliverable, because it's too generic.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, from that standpoint, the lab notes could be the report, and the lab notes also have a URL field, so you can describe the whole thing in a lot more detail in the URL. Okay. Likewise, the outputs can have a URL. So all that stuff has places where you can link to extended documentation.
Yeah, I think it starts to. This is really interesting, this discussion, because it starts to make sense now. The R&D projects, how do I handle it? It's the first iteration, but it already starts to make sense. You know.
Oh, good. That's where I want to get in this conversation. Really, if this stuff, you know, is this stuff starting to make sense to you guys? You know, where I'm going with this.
And what I see here is Tibi. After Tibi's speaking, I see what this helps to fragment the R&D into small texts, and these texts would be used in the wagon and the wiki.
Yes, so you can write eventually plugins to wikify your input in the lab notes, or you can actually you know, make a more complex editor so you can add pictures and stuff. But that's, I mean, the interface that we have now, it's fine, you know, if we just work on the engine, on the, how do you say, on the logic behind and the structure. But that would be nice to have like a plugin to, because the thing is to have a knowledge management tool that structures all the knowledge created by Sensorica, and that could be a wiki, so lab notes could be, you know, transferred to a wiki and structured a little better. See what I'm saying? I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see like where we go with this.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
the lab notes page right now just has this very rudimentary text area. You know, there's no formatting other than URLs will show up as links, and you know, it does preserve your line spaces and things like that. But it would be possible to make that into a plug in a much better editor for the lab notes, or maybe the lab notes page just wants to be simple and you want to link to something in the wiki for the more formatted contents that you know that you want to preserve as a knowledge base.
Mm-hmm. Bob, can I? This is an important feature here. Can I have visibility into Francois' notes of his R&D projects that he takes in his lab book?
Just a second. Yes, by this afternoon.
Okay.
Not now, but yes, by this afternoon.
Okay, so now the idea is, should we keep some notes private, or the notes should all be accessible by other people? I mean, I imagine that you could access a list of R&D projects, and then you can click on them and see where that person is in the process, you know, because the idea is that I could intervene with some fresh ideas. You know, somebody can get stuck in an R&D project, and then I could go there and find you know, an issue that I could solve, and I can propose something to this person. Hey, you know what? The other guy did that or tried that, you know, last week, and you know, and so like Frederick and my, you know, Frederick's work and my work with optical fibers. From our mailing list, you know, Frederick knew what I was doing with optical fibers, and he did something, and then he decided to share with us. That's because he had visibility into what I was doing, and he could intervene and say, hey, Tibi, this might be of interest to you. You see what I'm saying? So we want to allow these kind of things to happen.
Well, part of this also goes back to this whole idea of value streams. You know, where there's a stream of events that are happening. You know, somebody created a new R&D project. Francois did some work on it and put some interesting results on his lab notes. You know, all of this stuff can happen in some kind of event stream interface, you know, that you can go look at, or you could even get notified of certain things by email. So this is, you know, so be thinking about that at some point. You know, there's just going to be this whole stream of activities going on. You know, there's new orders, there's new outputs being created. You know, things failed. You know, they failed for some reason. You know, all those will be events in this ongoing value stream. They'll be there. You know, the question is how do we make that visible? How much do we make it visible? Who do we make it visible to? You know, there's a whole bunch of interesting questions there.
Yeah, by email it's good if you choose, if you have a filter. Personally, I don't want to receive the R&D from electronics because I can't help, but I can choose to receive the R&D updates concerning chemistry and.
Okay, so you mean to have a feature that you could subscribe to someone's R&D, and every time that person enters data into the lab note, you can be notified.
Or a field. You subscribe to a field.
Or you subscribe to a field. Yeah, I suppose this is functionality that we can add on top of the lab notes, right, Bob?
What on top of the lab notes?
You know, when you can subscribe to Wikipedia pages, and when someone edits the page, you are notified. Or you can subscribe to a field. So I suppose these are, you know, this is a functionality that can be added on top of the lab node.
Oh yes.
Once it is implemented.
Yeah, yeah, we will have a notification system. We will have a subscription system. We will also have a value streams implementation. So there's a bunch of these things that will be coming up on top of all of this other stuff. We're trying to get the basic events down first. And these are also places that other people could plug in, in terms of, building stuff on top of these value stream events.
Can you repeat the last sentence, Bob?
This would be another place that other programmers could plug in as far as building things on top of these value stream events.
Right.
Some of that stuff is that's where I want to put. That's also where I want to put an if this then that sort of interface.
Okay.
In other words, that would be the kind of thing. Well, okay, if this happens, one of the things that's going to happen here is that somebody's going to go in and they're going to change the dates on a process such that the process then becomes late. That would be an example of, if this process becomes late, then notify somebody, or have Francois notify the customer or something.
Yeah.
I don't know what, but basically, it'd be if this, then what do you do?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Could be notification, could be take some automatic actions, a bunch of different things. But those are examples of things that you can plug in on top of the of all of the event streams that we've been creating.
Okay.
I think the if this then that it's very powerful, because you could if it's a generic tool, somebody that is market oriented can get a cluster of R&D projects that are not finished, but according to the deliverables, if they all succeed, then you might have a prototype, a product, and then if someone fails, you can recover by starting another R&D project and so on. So you can manage, streams of R&Ds into projects. You know what I'm saying? I think this is really powerful. So you can put projects together, into a logic, and follow them in time, and you don't have to be involved in these R&D projects. You just create these clusters, and you know that if a certain amount of them go to completion, you might have enough to get a prototype.
Mm-hmm.
So you can automatically follow clusters of projects like that.
Wow. And, you assemble your puzzle of R&D. And...
Yes, exactly. What do I need to have this proof of concept done? Well, there are people working independently on this R&D project. They might not know that their project as a collective, can be put into a prototype and later into a product. But you can set that up, and follow the cluster.
Maybe.
Just brainstorming about the possibilities of the if this then that on top of the.
Okay, write down all your brainstorming ideas. Let's save them. Also, can you take the chat and save it from here?
Yes, apparently we can take the chat from Hangouts. I never did it before, but Francois says you can.
Wait, I know you can from Google, from Gmail.
Well, Ishan did it. I don't know exactly how to do it. I'm sure there's a way.
Okay, so is anything else with lab notes and creating R&D projects that?
I have a bunch of things to change. Some bugs to fix, some extensions. Some things to work on. I will get busy on that. Some of it will be done very shortly. Some of it will take a little while. I'm sort of assuming that the next thing to work on then would be purchasing. Correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can we? Okay. So you wanna go over the purchasing, your notes, or
you can look at the purchasing notes. I don't know that we need to. You know where they are, right?
Are they on the wiki?
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
Let me grab them from there.
I sent a link. Let's see.
I'm gonna make a search.
Design notes for purchasing. Okay. You can take your time over that. I got a bunch of stuff to do on fixing up and notes to things to do from this morning's meeting. I want to change the subject a little bit though, in terms of that stuff we can do. That stuff we can do in the wiki. Just add and delete and change on the wiki page. What I wanted to talk to you about is how are we doing? Where are we going? What do you think is the process and timing between now and when we could start having you guys use this stuff? In other words, I think for example, one of the Lynn and I have been talking about, okay, how do we get this ready to go? But the first question is, how are we doing? Are you liking where this is going? Do you think that this will give you what you need? This probably was not exactly what you had in mind in the first place when we started working on this, but you like it anyway. How are we doing?
I am very excited to start using the R&D and lab notes, and I know there is some work to be done on the interface, to make it more user friendly. But I think we have to put up with the simple interface.
And time contribution?
Well, yes, and move the time contribution to the new system. But that's part of development. When in the beginning you will suffer because you will have some bugs and you have some things, and the editor is very simple.
Well, yeah.
But we can link to Google Docs, and we can manage. But I think I'm very eager to start using the lab notes and R&D and start logging time through the new system.
Okay, in that case, let me really focus on this. I won't start working on purchasing yet. You can still look at the notes, but I'll make sure what I would like to do if you and Francois still have more time to work with the lab notes and the R&D interface, and surface more bugs, because you guys are sort of used to this process now of being the guinea pigs for software that just got, it's like you're alpha testers, which is even worse than being beta testers. So if you guys beat this stuff up a little bit more this week, I will continue to fix bugs and add features as fast as I can while you're doing this, and then it would be, because then we'll bring the next round of people in, and they will not be properly grateful for all your efforts, but we'll make them appreciate it. You know, that you suffered on their on their behalf. So if you guys can, you know, the more you can do that, then that will be better. You know, if we surface a lot of these, I know where some of the bugs are myself. I want to get this out. You guys can start. A lot of this is trying to get this stuff to the point where you guys understand where I'm going with this, how this stuff works, how it ties together. And if that's if that's starting to happen, then this is really good from my standpoint. This is the place I wanted to get to. And then the next place to get to is to, you know, get something being used. And so that's really great if we can start having the R&D stuff and the lab notes actually getting used. So I will focus very hard on fixing the bugs I know about, finding other bugs myself. You guys find other bugs, you know, suggest features, you know, that I can't guarantee they'll all get done immediately, but you know, some of them are harder than others. But we'll make them happen as fast as we can. Okay.
I'm juggling here with 2 R&D projects today. And I will use I will create R&D projects and use the interface while I'm doing this. So I'm gonna do the real thing, okay?
Hey, oh, cool. Okay. And yell if anything you run into. You know, I'll be working on this stuff most of the time. You can hit me with chat. You got my phone number too, right?
Don't worry.
So if I'm not there, you know, call me up.
Okay.
But I'll be around most of the time. Okay.
Yeah.
I just got to go out and get some more firewood because it's cold out here.
I'm interested.
I
just go out to the woodshed. It's that you know, it doesn't take very long.
I think Francois had a question.
Yeah, because me too. I'm interested to use the lab notes right now. But is it safe, or do I have to copy my text somewhere else in case of?
I don't understand.
Well, you see, there's a place where I can put a lot of notes here, and I want usually describe my experiments.
That you would do on the lab notes page.
The lab notes, yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, and there's a big text area there, and there's a URL, so you can put it, and there's a URL here too, so you can link all over the place as far as to external pages, and then the lab notes page has got a big text area that you can add to. Yeah, okay, so big text area. There's a thing down on the lower right where you can extend it and make it bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
right.
So yeah, Francois' question I think was if I put text only there, will I lose it? Is there a chance to
No, you will not lose it. It will be out there. Now there is a minor problem in that we're using a database that is we're not using a production we're not using an industrial strength database. Now the database it's a good database. It won't lose data, but it doesn't work it's not very good at having more than one person use it at the same time. So if both of you guys are using it sometime this week, I'm going to get you into an industrial strength database, and all the data will still be there. It's just be in this other database that will work well for a bunch of different people using it at the same time. Right now, you might run into some problems on that score. It would be more in slowness. You won't actually lose data. All right.
Right.
Oh, so that's a good question, Bob. Can I work on 2 projects at the same time? So I have 2 lab notes open at the same time now?
Yes, you can. Of course you can. Yes.
So that there is no problem with the database there.
No, the database has, this is a good database. It's easy for me to use when I'm developing, because now you've got some bugs in there. I would like to get into the raw data to work on those without messing with your system. So I could just take that whole database that's all in one file and drop it on my computer.
Okay.
With the industrial strength database, I can't do that.
Okay.
It's a much bigger system. But I'll get you to, we need to be there when you're going to start having other people using this. So right now it's like you can have multiple pages out yourself. You can do all this kind of stuff. If both you and Francois were working on the system at the same time, then you will occasionally hit some performance problems. You'll be interfering with each other because the database doesn't do that very well. But it's it's probably okay. And by the end of the week, I'll have you into the industrial strength database. All right.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you.
Okay, so you guys got anything else for today?
It's okay. What is it today? Is there anything else?
All right, good.
No, I'm fine.
Excellent meeting. Go break things. Go break things. Break things. Tell me about it. All right. And the system, if you hit a system error, the system does send me an email with all of the details. So you don't have to. Most of the time you don't have to tell me what happened. I will know, but still tell me anyway.
Okay.
Just complain. All right.
All right, Bob.
All right. Have fun.
Wait a second.
Later.